Welcome back to the bench. Here we are, ready for chaos, ready for takes that you should definitely listen because what we say matters to us. And today we have a very exciting episode where we talk about the top college basketball rivalries, and I cannot wait to hear your takes. But first and foremost, we got to hit the bench behavior for this week. Okay, kick us off.
This is ridiculous that Clemson players out there snitching on a guy who got thrown out at the targeting call at the second half of his last game, transferred schools, does all the work to get him suspended for a half, and then you come out and just get waxed at your own field and have the stupid tradition where you storm the field after every game. And so you've got LSU fans out there dancing on their Death Valley vacation home away from the real Death Valley. That's just ridiculous. You can't be doing that, because if you're going to go out and get that guy suspended, you've got to win that game, and you got to win it handedly. You definitely can't lose it. That's just embarrassing.
You don't want to poke that tiger.
That's bad. It's real bad.
Pun directly intended there, Brad.
You bet, buddy. Yeah, I just feel that if at the same time that if you do make that decision, you cannot let that get out. You have to handle that. That's on lockdown. That is Fort Knox, Vegas talk. You do not let that get out. The fact that it did, which in today's world, everything gets out. So just a bad look. And then just to add on to that, the way that Dabo and Coach Kelly kept kind of bickering at each other. Hey, you know what? They just need to put it on a Patreon, put it on a paywall, just let them duke it out. I don't know, it would be more painful seeing them waller over each other or try to talk with a fake accent and fake confidence that mean nothing. I still don't know how either one of them have any buy-in from their players, but they do. They do. I just feel like they're two of the most fake coaches. I'm not saying they're bad people or anything like that. I just don't buy it. But they're not my coaches. So
it's like, to me, Dabo is, at least Brian Kelly, he's fake. Like, he's dropped the fake accent. But like, Dabo is bought into his own fake story, and it drives me up a wall.
Look, I'm going to play devil's advocate again here because it's, kind of like what I like to do here. I was on team let's convict Brandon Miller of murder a few years ago. So I'm like pro Clemson doing what they can to get a leg up, even it's kind of like a little bit underhanded. You can't do it and then get your ass handed to you.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
So I was writing the tournament committee in 2023 to make sure that Alabama wasn't considered for a one line that year, and obviously that didn't pan out well for Purdue. Megan, shout out Megan. But yeah, no, I'm with you guys. If you're gonna do something like that, you win the game. It's a bad luck to, go out of your way to get a player suspended, and then, lo and behold, you lay an egg for 2 straight halves.
It tells me you're scared.
Have to wear that.
It tells me you were scared. Like, you were looking for a reason to weaken them somehow, some way, because you knew you weren't good enough.
Yep.
Bingo. That is great point. So true. It's, truly, honestly, this is a very good example of bench behavior. I mean,
that's classic.
Yeah, it really is. And to add on to this bench behavior segment, I hate to be this dramatic about it, but RIP RedZone. It's just, I mean, why do I need that anymore? If there's commercials all throughout it, that's the best thing about it. There wasn't.
It took them all of 3 months to screw this up. ESPN, it's Disney, whoever's calling the shots there. So this gives me no hope for Inside the NBA there with the halftime show, because that's going to die a painful death now, which was the best show on TV when it was going. You got that. They were just on fire this week, because also, I mean, this hit home, but watching the Tennessee game and getting ready to score in the fourth quarter, and like 2-score-ish game where Tennessee was trying to put them away, and we cut away after commercial to show the guy from the Seminole, which is one of the best interests in sports, throw a spear down at the field and just watch players warm up, because nobody cared about the fourth quarter of that game. I don't know. They screwed the announcing up for the NBA Finals. This has just been downhill for a long time now.
Yeah. When it comes to the NFL, like, I'm wearing a Colts jersey right now. It just got released the other day that the Colts are the least optimistic fan base, and here I am with my He's Era Johnny Unitas jersey.
How do you even? How does that metric even get developed?
I don't, dude. Okay,
we hadn't won an opener since 2013.
True,
it's absolutely true.
My gosh.
Dude, I was there for the Suck for Luck years, man. It was fantastic. Look, I'm going to lay this out for anybody who's subscribed to us and watches us on a regular basis, that just so they know who my fan base is or who I'm a fan of. Like, I'm a Colts fan, so that sucks. I'm a West Ham United fan. We're probably going to get relegated this year. I'm a White Sox fan.
Should
We
be
set the
relegated.
record for most losses last year. I'm a Blackhawks fan. We haven't been relevant in about 10 years. I'm a Purdue fan. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride until this year. So. Yeah, I'm gonna wear my Colts jersey. We're gonna go to the game on Sunday and stretch that losing streak out another year at least. But we'll see you there.
Well, you're not gonna have any. Well, at least if you go, you'd have to watch commercials on RedZone. That's a
We'll
plus.
see. Find out a way to make commercials during the game for the people in attendance because we're not taxed enough for that.
That's funny. Well, it's time to introduce a new segment here on the Bench Points podcast. We're going to call this the Standing O. So this is where we're going to praise. We just really give somebody their kudos or give somebody their flowers. So Sam, I know you had one teed up for us. Give us a Standing O.
Yeah, so I want to give a standing O to the ballsy college basketball coaches in the 25-26 season, especially in the non-con, because here in roughly 2 months, we are going to be treated to the best November and December in college basketball history. Golden, Hurley, Patino, Painter, Shire, just to name a few. Self, as much as we don't like Self. I mean, we got probably the strongest non-conference schedule that we could ever dream. I was looking just in November alone. I mean, hell, we're going to Bama. Yeah, we're going to be at Bama, Purdue. That's big balls for both coaches going after each other like that for back-to-back years.
And neither of those guys are scared.
Yeah, no.
It's not even just November now. You're like the secret scrimmages now that you're paying $300 to get into. You've got Duke going to visit Tennessee. You've got, I think, I saw Auburn or somebody was going up to Wisconsin or one of those. You got games starting in October, real legitimate Final Four-esque games where guys are going to be going at it in October now, and that's just my dream.
See, I look at what these coaches are doing here in November and December, and one, it's good for the game of college basketball, especially with everything going on in sports right now and NIL and some interest shifting and whatnot. I think college basketball is going to be at the forefront. REP the EA Sports game that just got axed, but yeah, another poor one out. But this is just beautiful. This is setting up these power schools and power conferences like the SEC and Big Ten, especially to be battle tested and ready for conference play. And then when we get into the tournament, this is where we're going to see the big boys run. But they're going to have their scars and they're going to be battle worn going into it. So there's not going to be any doubts on who these teams are because of how aggressively and how powerfully they're scheduling in the non-con. And it's just the best thing. We talked about IU, what they were doing with their football schedule. It's the complete opposite with basketball. These guys are going straight at it, straight into the lion's den, and I love it. So standing O, we're waving our towels on the bench right now. Love you, coaches. You're doing great, including yourself.
Yeah, we can compliment guys we don't like. We can do that. It is possible.
It is possible. It is possible. And really, do you think that it's safe to say that, and Sam, I think you might, and I'm sorry for repeating you, but I feel like you made a comment that I really hadn't thought about it, but this is going to allow for that committee to really, the proof is going to be in the pudding.
Yeah.
It's going to be worked out on the floor rather than being up to a bunch of folks sitting around a table and when they all have somebody's hand in their pocket. Hope that'll help settle things out a little bit. Like North Carolina getting in last year?
Now, if North Carolina goes in and they crush their non-con and they do relatively decent in the ACC, we're not going to have any question. I'm actually surprised that Jake didn't call out his bench behavior of Caleb Wilson saying belt to ass to Duke this year. But if North Carolina comes out and handles their business, we're not going to have the same conversations we were last year because of the way they're scheduling and the way these non-cons, these MTEs are kind of lining out. It's leaving no doubt in our minds who deserves to be there, who deserves to be in the conversation, especially when they do that CBS Top 16, which is my favorite time of the year because that's holy hell, this is trick or treat. It's Christmas is right on the doorstep. That is one of my favorite events. I remember last year and the year before going to a bar and kind of talking the owner into turning the volume up on a TV on 1 o'clock in the afternoon while they played what most would consider an insignificant event, but for me it's just yeah, this is validation. This means it's right on the doorstep.
The only thing that we need to bring back is the 24 plus hours of straight of college basketball that you used to kick off the season with for forever. That was incredible because you got little teams getting on TV that never see TV because they're playing at 7 a.m. or something like that. I used to take that day off I was in class. in class at college when that was happening.
Right.
So I would take that day off and just watch basketball for 24 hours. And that was,
Yeah, I actually kind of forgot about that. That was kind of fun. I'm sure at programs, I'm sure teams probably hated it because it's a weird sequence and timing for the fan. I beat that.
Yeah. For the three folks sitting on the bench over here, yeah, it's a great time.
For us. Well, I can't wait any longer. Let's get the rivalry talk going. Should we start at? Let's just go and get this one out of the way because I feel like this is the one that everybody thinks of. Duke, North Carolina. To me, that is the still the kind of that pinnacle cornerstone rivalry for college basketball, and I think it's at the top.
So I don't think there's any doubt in any real college basketball fan's mind that it's Duke UNC. I feel like here lately it's been more Duke than it has been UNC. I think Jake, you said over the last 100 it's 49 to 51.
Yeah, Duke's got it. I think Duke's won 3 in a row. Is the way it's gone. The only thing is, to me it's fallen off a little bit because of Duke's decision on how we're grabbing all the top NBA prospects and letting them go the next year. You don't get to develop that hatred. It's like the North Carolina fans don't have people to hate as much. Like way back, like a while back when you had Gerald Henderson like giving a love tap to the try-hard Tyler Hinsborough, that was great. Or like Capel hitting the half-court shot, or Stackhouse just with the reverse dunks, and Rasheed Wallace and Rashard Kantz. Was it Rashard McCants or Raymond Felton? I can't remember which one, but I remember thinking this is one of the greatest things ever. He, like at Cameron, knowing that they're the better team, comes in and is just, the crazies are going nuts, and he's just yawning in their face, and then he goes out and drops like 20 or 30. You don't have those kind of moments in this rivalry anymore, and it's a little sad. It's still one of the best ever, and will always be there, just because you've got two of the powerhouses in basketball 8 miles apart, and you've got the whole private versus public school thing, and daddy's money versus, no money. And it's just got honestly, I was talking about this, Sam, before we got started. The best ending of any basketball game ever, bar none, with Wendell Moore in overtime. The second time they missed a free throw on purpose, shot it, got it to push it to overtime, did it again, missed it, and Moore tips it in at the buzzer to win. Most incredible ending of a basketball game, and it got ruined by the stupid Nike practice jerseys that made both teams go out there. But this is just the pinnacle of great basketball because of the talent both teams bring in. And then when there used to be hatred going on with everybody, that made it even better.
Yeah, and it's one of those rivalries too, where it doesn't matter if Duke's having an off year or if UNC's having an off year. It's like nobody stops, watching that series. I mean, Dickie V could be dead for 5 years. He's still going to call that game. I mean, it's one of those where they bring out the big guns. I personally think it's going to be Robbie Hummel calling these games here soon, because he's going to become the voice of college basketball. He already is. But imagine him and Ian Eagle on that. So, but yeah, it's one of those where it's always must-see TV. The rivalry of UNC is, probably got a more storied history, but Duke over the course of the last 50 years has been the penultimate college basketball program. And it's just like I said, it's like one of those things where it's a Saturday in February, and, UNC's at Cameron Indoor. Yeah, I'm going to watch that. We got a wedding, or we got a family reunion, we got a family outing. It's like, nah, UNC North Carolina's on. That's what's happening. It's not even grab your phone time. It's sit on the couch with your buddies and grab a 6-pack of beer and a piece and watch them battle.
Yeah, no, and the storied history about it, and I feel like and obviously ESPN loves it, because I feel like there's like 3 different documentaries highlighting that rivalry, and they just love to go back to that.
Names that it has. You had Jordan playing in it, Rasheed Wallace, Jerry Stackhouse, Jay Williams, Shane Battier, Zion, Flagg, Leitner, Bobby Hurley. It just goes on and on and on and on. And
two of the most memorable college basketball players in the last 25 years, JJ Redick and Tyler Hinsborough. I mean, guys that, like you mentioned their names. You mentioned JJ Redick. People don't think of the Lakers. They don't think of his NBA career. They think of Duke. And they also think of like all the shit he took. And then you talk about Tyler Hinsborough, nobody remembers his time with the Pacers, and people kind of like him on field of 68 right now because he's a hell of a voice. He's got that gravelly, like, you could tell he's a psycho.
Psycho T.
The first thing you're not going to think of is his NBA career. You're going to think of Psycho T from North Carolina playing with a bloody nose. I mean, they produced even guys that didn't achieve like ultimate success in the NBA. Like, you will remember those names like you will tell your kids about JJ Redick and Tyler Hansbrough. Like those are like I will tell Carson's like that was some of my favorite basketball.
Gavin are gonna be slapping the floor like Steve Wojciechowski and Greg Paulus. That's the kind of guy. That's the kind of kids I'm raising. They're little gnats. There's not a lot of height in my family, so we're gonna be little gnat guards that slapping the floor, diving on it, and all that. You know.
So I'm gonna ask you this, Jake, and I'll throw it to you too, Brad. If you had a kid with an extreme amount of talent and athletic ability, but like kind of gave a canning catchings effort, or Jake, you had a kid that was okay at basketball but had Tyler Hansborough's work ethic, what would you take?
I've never said that Tyler Hansbrough wasn't successful or anything. I'm just saying him, Joakim Noah, and a handful of others have been blessed with height and that work ethic. The work ethic is to be admired. They are not that talented basketball players, as proven in the NBA. Where, I mean, as you know, the old saying, hard work outdoes talent, but not at that level, because you've got to have the talent to keep going. But yes, I would much rather have the Tyler Hansbrough style. And that's how I'm gonna raise my kids. So, you know, we're gonna give it all, because athleticism and height are questionable in my family.
I feel like from a coach's perspective, I would take that effort player in the way that Hansbrough was used. I felt like that was a contagious effort, but also that could have easily gone south, because I imagine that he wasn't the most guy. Maybe he was, but as a parent, I mean, one and done, head into the league, not too bad.
Yeah,
money. Well, I mean, I guess you get paid in college now too. So I mean, I guess you can make a meal or a few meal depending how good you are.
Fun question: what do you guys think JJ Redick and Tyler Hansbrough are fetching in NIL if they played in today's game?
I think the number would be outrageous. Like I don't know that the payment from the school.
I'm thinking like
the payment from the school would be that big, but like the merch stuff would be this world.
I'm thinking $4 or $5 mil a piece.
Probably fair to say, because they were both big personalities. Like they would be on every commercial. Like they would be everywhere. Well, who knows? Maybe they did receive that money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, really good shot.
I mean, I don't want to start any kind of conspiracy theories here, but if you know, you know. What do you say we move on from Duke and North Carolina? Have we given our own fair shot down Tobacco Road?
I think we've given it a lot of time.
All right, let's move on. We're going to head a little west to good old Kentucky, the Bluegrass State. Wait a minute. If it's a Bluegrass State, but it's a Commonwealth?
Nobody can accuse Kentucky of being smart now. Come on.
Look, they're the deep South. Deep South.
Compared to Canada, I guess.
Louisville is, I mean, like, they're right on the border of Gulf of America or Mexico, whatever the hell they're calling it these days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a quick, trip across the bridge to Jeffersonville, Indiana, the deep south of Kentucky, the Bluegrass State, Louisville, Kentucky. I'll be honest about this rivalry. Like for the last 5 or 6 years, it hasn't felt like a rivalry. It's felt like it's just it's a guaranteed W for Kentucky. They go in and Louisville gives them hell for approximately 20 minutes. They go into the locker room at halftime, and Kentucky reminds themselves they're Kentucky, and Louisville reminds themselves that they were coached under Kenny Payne, but we're calling them Kenny Powers. And then
probably the same results.
For the next 20 minutes, they get dog walked and then go back home. But I think with Mark Pope and what he's doing over in Kentucky, and then we've talked about Louisville like crazy over the course of like 11 episodes. I think Louisville is going to be right up there with Duke and, well, I was going to say Duke and UNC, right up there with Duke as far as like the head of the ACC now. So like I think we've got a rivalry again. I think this is going to be like the resurgence this year of
I could see that.
What I used to consider one of the best rivalries in all of sports, not to mention just college basketball, but it kind of died for a few years there. But this is the year where we breathe life back into it and it comes back stronger.
I sure hope so. Because right now this is a rivalry in the minds of Louisville fans. That's it. It's not been on the court even when Pitino was winning his championships and making the Final Four runs, he couldn't get to Kentucky. It's 40-17 right now is the record. Like it's not anywhere close. So I think this is one that gets talked about more because the fans are loud than it is anywhere near the court. That sucks as much as I hate Kentucky, I thoroughly hate Kentucky. They've had very good basketball teams and they've played some fun style of basketball. Like even when Pitino was there, and I like what Pope is doing, and loved what Pitino obviously did at Louisville. I even liked Mac at Louisville. Something weird happened there. And then I mean, I like what Kelsey's doing, but we'll see what happens. They've got to prove it a little bit. Louisville's got to get up off the mat if we're going to make this a rivalry. Right now, Tennessee and Kentucky is a much better rivalry for Kentucky than it is Louisville.
Dadgummit, you just stole that right out from under me. That's exactly what I was about to say. The Tennessee-Kentucky rivalry is much better.
That's only been
think
since
carries a lot
Barnes.
more
It
weight.
wasn't like we were doing anything before Barnes got to him. So I don't know that Kentucky's had a true rival, maybe IU for a while.
Konzo had some. I remember the night that my son was born. He's 8 now, but when he was born, so 8 years ago, almost 9 now, I remember holding him in the hospital and watching us beat Kentucky, and that's a cool moment that that'll always be special for me. But I'm gonna step back a little bit. One thing about Kentucky and Louisville, Jake, you hinted at this as well. The fans, they hate each other. I mean, it's a split down the middle in a lot of places, but Kentucky, I mean, has just dominated as we've seen. What was the stat that you said? What was the
40-17
wins and losses? Good night. I would have never guessed
I would
that,
have
to be
either.
honest with you.
Much about it, but
Yeah.
if my Google search is
so it's
wrong,
funny.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but that's what I came up with.
Yeah.
Nearly every single thing that we look at for rivalries has them as like the number 1 through 4 rivalry. To Jake's point, it's just not been one, except in the minds of Louisville fans. But I think, to what we've talked about like for 2 months now, I think this is like it becomes a rivalry again, or at least we hope so, right?
I hope. Yeah, I hope so. I really do.
Podcast
And
banking on
I
Louisville
think
a
it's
little
gonna
bit.
be, it's gonna be more digestible too, because it's not Cal involved anymore, and it's not like just different. Mark Pope is a relatively decent human being, at least we think so, right? Louisville is being resurgent, so it's all more palatable. Before, it was just like, Christ, we get to watch Kentucky just get an absolute drubbing on Louisville and have to wait for Tennessee to play him, so there's at least a real game. Moving north.
Yeah, let's move north.
So
let's head into Sam. I want to let you.
So I'm gonna repeat what we just said. Is this a rivalry anymore? I would say that Woodson went 500 against Painter. Not sure if we've talked about that. Woodson went 500 in his tenure at Indiana against Painter.
That's his only
trophy, I guess.
Yeah, and that, let's be honest, for his tenure, Purdue was their Super Bowl. I will say to IU fans, they have 5 banners that they get to look up at in Assembly Hall. Like, a lot of them have taken place before most of the IU fans that I associate with were even born. That's kind of aging me a little bit because I'm 42. I do distinctly remember the 87 year, and Purdue doesn't have one of those. We've been on the doorstep. We've had the teams to do it. But from a rivalry standpoint, Purdue's put belt to ass against Indiana in the aggregate. What did we talk about, Jake? 34 more wins?
128 to 93, so 35. My math is correct. Yeah, this one, but it amps it a little bit when you're conference, like you're in conference. Kentucky and Louisville aren't in conference, so you get that one a year. Indiana, Purdue, you're getting it twice a year, so it amps it a little bit because you can not, like, whoever's doing bad that year can knock the other one out of Big Ten title or knock them down a seed and get them out of the 1 seed for the conference tournament. You have those extra little moral victories you can have when your team is down.
Yeah, and I think that adds some spice to it, them being in the same conference. And they've had legendary coaches. Indiana, not so much recently. I worked with Katie for a summer and a fall, and was one of the best experiences of my life. I went to 3 Bobby Knight camps growing up. These are 2 people that were, no more than 2-hour drive from where I grew up, like an hour for Lafayette and 2 hours for Bloomington. And like, so from me growing up in Indiana, you guys were from Tennessee, like these guys were everything. You go to a barber shop, you point to which Indiana basketball player you want your haircut to look like.
I love that. Yeah.
If you drove to Lafayette and went to the Tippecanoe Mall, or you went to Indiana Beach and Monticello, you saw Purdue signs everywhere with Gene Cady and his comb over. So this rivalry, especially for a kid growing up in Indiana and basketball country, they say in 49 states it's just basketball, but this is Indiana. Bobby Knight and Gene Katie made it that way. They really built the story that we get to watch today, and it's fun to watch. It's always a home and away, and so it's like set your calendar to it. It's lost a little bit of its luster here lately because of the Woodson era and Indiana not being relevant. I hope that DeVries can get him back into relevancy, because Painter's got Purdue, at least from a national standpoint, like right in the spotlight. I mean, he's a real bad screw up away from getting the chirps again, but he's got Purdue. Everybody's talking about them this year. Nobody's talking about IU. I want to get it back to where IU is being talked about in the top 10, right alongside with Purdue and Matt Painter. So I think that's where the rivalry needs to go, but it's got a lot of story behind it. It's deserving of being in the top 5.
Hate is what makes sports great. Like, I don't want people like getting beat up in the parking lots and stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. I want you to absolutely hate the people that you're playing, and then you're okay. Like, you're not friends with them after, but you're not trying to murder them after the game. But like during the game, you might as well be. That's what I want. I want the fans going at each other. I want all of that, and without crossing stupid lines. But that's what makes these things great. And Indiana and Purdue right now is surviving on fan hate. It's not on the floor.
And so I will say this about the fan hate. I feel like the fan hate comes more from Indiana than it does Purdue. Especially when Purdue's been successful. Like, all you hear is about like 5 banners from a kid who's like 23, 24 years old. And you're like, shut up, dude. You don't know anything about what you're talking about. But I will say this, as a Purdue fan, experiencing what I've experienced with the Purdue fan base, both like at games, both in like bars in West Lafayette, friends that I discuss Purdue basketball with daily. We are a toxic fan base. Especially here over the course of the last few years. We tasted success. We've got 1 lines. We've been ranked number 1 nationally, and now Purdue fans cannot be questioned, Megan. And like, as a Purdue fan, like what I tell you about my teams I'm fans of earlier, I'm used to losing. I don't see a lot of trophies. So that's where I'm at. You're right. There's some hate there. I think the hate comes from Indiana, like the what's the word I'm looking for? The arrogance here recently has been coming from the Purdue fan base.
Well, deservedly so. Like, you've got a 35 game lead on the series, and IU is. And anytime you can just knock your rival down by just not caring about them is fun. Like seeing Vandy, like, yeah, it's like Tennessee and Vandy. Like, I never think twice about Vandy, but I think them and Diego Pavia can get us out of their mouth.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. And that's exactly how I feel like Indiana Purdue is. Like, Indiana celebrates Purdue losses and Purdue celebrates Purdue wins.
Yep. I could totally see that. And now, Sam, you mentioned about, those Indiana haircuts. We had, I remember when Buzz Peterson was the coach of the Tennessee Volunteers, you could go to Supercuts and get a buzz cut. And you could get your hair just like his. That promo didn't last long, considering the fact it was not a very successful run.
That's another reason I hate Roy Williams. He couldn't keep his mouth shut about Buzz when we fired Buzz, because one of the reasons we announced was because popcorn sales were down. Well, popcorn sales were down because fans weren't there, because our team. And Roy Williams was like, oh, Buzz is responsible for the popcorn sales now, too? I'm like, no, you're responsible for getting fans in the building.
Responsible
for listen, I could only eat so much popcorn, and I felt like I was the only.
If I remember that while we were in Connecticut, I would have been all over Roy for that, but I was too busy watching Tennessee beat them by 20.
You were too busy clapping in what had to have been like a 18-year-old kid's ear, even though he had a beard.
He had a beard, but he's 18. Yep.
It fits North Carolina, brother.
There you go. 100%. It fits the bill, doesn't it? You know what looks good with a fresh haircut? A WinWear t-shirt or a WinWear apparel. Shout out to our friends at WinWear. Check out their website, WinWearApparel.com. And BenchPoints, actually, we have our own promo code, and it's BenchPoints, all one word. Link is in the bio. So go check those guys out. They've got some cool stuff on there. And listen, if you're going to put some money on the table, might as well wear it.
Yeah. Jake,
so
what do you model?
Check them out.
Yeah. So, got a little busy. Couldn't quite make it up to fancy caramel there. So decided to wear the jersey.
Nose up. My caramel address that's on the Carmel, Zionsville, Indianapolis border. Like, we're the mutt of Carmel.
Yeah. The mutt.
Yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, go check those guys out. They've got some really cool stuff. So where you're going to put your money. All right. So let's move on. Can we say, and this pains me, and I think it was the last episode or the episode before where I kind of shared my lament and sadness for the Big East being irrelevant. But golly, some nasty knockout, drag out fights, just barn fights year after year. And it's just, I don't think anybody cares anymore. And it hurts my heart. It genuinely does.
Yeah, you got to get more than 2.5 teams going for it to matter. And what sucks is like your rivalries left. Like Syracuse leaving kind of killed a lot of that because that was them and Georgetown and UConn, and with the 19 overtime game, so that kind of hurt them. And Pitt and West Virginia leaving too, that took a lot out of the rivalry standpoint because that's the backyard brawl is just nasty, no matter, and it's always fun to watch. But it's that day for the Big East.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, though, when we're talking about rivalries, right? It's like UConn and St. John's going to be the new. Like, I know they've got a rivalry going, but like with the teams that they're building and the coaches that they got, like, is this our rivalry? Because to me, like, if I'm talking about rivalries for the 2025-26 season, that's the one. I think Duke's gonna just absolutely trounce UNC this year, both games. I think Louisville, Kentucky will be a fun one this year. I think Purdue's really should have Indiana's number, but I really don't care what happens. I'm more interested in Big Ten title and national title for Purdue. But I tell you, the rivalry I'm excited about, and I think is going to tell a big story come tournament selection time on like seeding, like who's going to get a 1 line and a 2. UConn St. John's.
That's a great point.
I'm excited about that because since we're on topic, the Big East, that's it. That's what we got. We got some teams flirting. We got, Marquette and Creighton flirting with being at the top. But look, King Kong and Godzilla are UConn and St. John's.
And those two coaches, I mean, just those big personalities, huge egos, high basketball IQ.
Storied success.
And maybe I'm just not tied into the right fan bases here. I just don't see those fan bases getting mad at each other. And that, like, a big chunk of your rivalry comes from the fans. Like that's what kind of great.
Let's start up. Let's do it right now on the podcast.
I want to see it.
Let's start
because the overall record isn't bad. 38-34 St. John's. So like a 4-game split, and very well could say about the same this year or get real tight. But I just see the fans go at each other. Like I'm a big St. John's proponent. I've loved the way they've played basketball for a long time now. One of the best moves they've made in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see the fans get mad at each other a little bit. I want to see a little bit of trash talking. I haven't seen it, and maybe I'm just not tied in. Point me to the right place because I want to get in on this and I don't like UConn. I don't know. I respect it, but I want to trash talk UConn.
Yeah,
we got a comment on our YouTube video when we're talking about arenas that somebody was mentioning UConn's arena, and we were talking about like size. It's like a 11,000 seat venue.
I'm in.
Really?
It's a dome that is designed to be loud.
Let's do it.
Should we put that on our bucket list of places to go?
It is now.
I know we've, if we're like if we get up to a pretty decent clip of subscribers and viewers and stuff like that, I would love to like report back from UConn and be like, hey, we checked out your arena and it's garbage, or hey, this is actually legit. This is a top 5, top 10 arena, and the venue and atmosphere was everything you said it was and more. We were talking about Cameron Indoor. I remember being like in a phone booth for my way overpriced ticket. And I think Cameron Indoor
like
seats
9?
Yeah. So for just 1,000 more people, I think UConn might be worth checking out. And it's a loud arena. And maybe with these two teams battling for the top of the Big East, we might start seeing some of that hate.
I want to see it. I would love it because like UConn is like a fun team to not like right now because they're good and they've been good for a while. There's been some downs, but you had Calhoun winning titles, you had Ollie win title, and now you've got 2 titles with Hurley, and he's loud and can really stir it up. So like, let's do it. He reminds me of, I think if he ever got into a school that had a big rival, it'd be like Steve Spurrier. It was, and like like the whole you can't spell citrus without UT kind of stuff. Like hate Spurrier, but love him for that kind of thing. Like I love to hate Spurrier.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Hurley sets up to be like that. So let's do it. Let's get that going. And
make him the villain. Make him the villain. I mean, Patino's not exactly the hero in the story, but make Hurley the villain, and I think you got something there.
Yeah, I don't think Pitino is going to be the moral success of the two by any means. Both men, incredible coaches. Yeah, that's a fun one. I'm glad you all pointed that out because I think that is something to look forward to this year to see how that can kind of unfold. And it's a rivalry that we're able to kind of see from its infancy, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
That's like a fun twist to it, right?
Yeah, we've got 2 top 5 teams coming from the Big East this year, right? Are they projected both on top?
I think
four
St.
right
John's
now?
is like the 7-ish range.
Okay,
There's
so
that.
top 10. We'll say top 10.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great call out.
Speaking of Patino's rivalries, every year it's one I never miss is Cincinnati Xavier. The Crosstown Shootout is. You never know if it's going to be a boxing match or if it's a basketball game. You never know what you're going to see. And this has been going this way for a very long time. Probably, honestly, might be the meanest atmosphere for a game. And I'm all for it. The schools are 3 miles apart. You've typically Xavier's had a couple of years, but Cincinnati had the Kenyon Martin year, but they're never like your superstar loaded teams expected to win the title. It's like very, very good, like your 4 to 7 seed kind of teams that are going at it, and they play a mean version of basketball, and it's tough. And Lord, 2011, you had a big brawl there. You had a fight last year, the year before, and it had like superstars show up with like Travion Bluette with 40-point game, and then all the way back in '94 when Huggins was there, just refusing to shake the Xavier coach's hand. Like this is what I want. This is a perfect rivalry, and it's great basketball for the most part.
Look, I lived in Cincinnati in 2011 when that brawl happened, and I remember people saying like, "Hey, if you live in the Norwood, Hyde Park area, stay inside." They're like, "Stay inside. This is getting nasty." Because I'm not sure what you guys know about the UC and the greater UC area. It's rough. And then you get to Xavier. Xavier is a really nice campus. Mm-hmm. Everything around Xavier is effectively UC. It is a turf war over there, and it's like the Xavier kids, like based on my experience, like they don't go out to bars around Cincinnati. They go to Mount Adams where it's safe and expensive.
You got to pay for safety.
That's right.
I'm guessing Xavier's a private school too, so you got the whole private public thing going on there too.
Yeah,
beautiful campus, but it's like
the record's 51-40, so I mean it's relatively tight.
Yeah.
Wow. Really?
I don't know. It's a lot of fun. The Crosstown Shootout it's always on my calendar, and I always watch it every year.
I can't believe. So I've been to multiple University of Cincinnati games. I've been to 1 or 2 Xavier games. I've been to 1 shootout, and ironically, it was in 2010. I missed it by 1 year, but that's something we should try to go to.
Cool.
I mean, I will say this about Cincinnati: it is one of my least favorite places on earth. I lived there for 5 years. You get a chance to go, don't. It'd be worth checking out a basketball game for sure.
Big nasty.
Yeah. Not.
My experience with Cincinnati's not been great either. I went there for the Mark McGuire, the only home run he hit there. The stadium was so miserable and hot. We had to buy a $7 bottle of water to pour on your seat so you could sit down. It was nuts. It was so hot. To see McGuire hit his home run in whatever name of the field that was, because I think they're on like field number 4 since then.
Yeah, I feel like that's the case. That's a great point. I feel like they have just had a rotation of. You gotta love it being a taxpayer, I guess, in that area. You just get a new stadium every, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So that's a great call out. It's a great rivalry that I feel like doesn't get enough credit. So I'm glad we're calling that out. I think the next one here is one that has potential of have a little bit of a spark this year. Potentially. Michigan State. Do we really want to call that a rivalry still? I feel like they still hate each other. I feel like that it's almost more of a football thing than a basketball
I feel
thing.
the same way with that in Michigan, Ohio State. It's more football than it is. Like both those schools, like Michigan,
Tennessee,
are
Alabama.
more football than they are basketball.
So when like again, born and raised in Big Ten country, right? Like when it's football season, it's Michigan, Ohio State. That is the rivalry to end all rivalries in college football, at least in the Midwest. And like where I'm from, like it's like you stop what you're doing, you watch that game, no matter how bad one team is versus the other. Usually they're in like the top 5 each. From a basketball perspective, like I know Michigan and Ohio State hate each other when it comes to basketball. So there is some heat there, but Michigan and Michigan State, I guess I've never really seen it because, Michigan had a good stretch there where it was like Michigan versus the world. And then Michigan State kind of had that like Tom Izzo start of an era, like starting in the 90s, going through the 2000s, all the way up to now, where Michigan State's consistently been relevant and Michigan's had ebbs and flows. They've had like really, really good teams, and then they've had like duds, especially under the recent Juwan Howard era. Like it was just an absolute struggle. And with Dusty May now, like Dusty May is like the new kid on the block, and unfortunately Izzo probably not going to have the team this year. So I'm not sure if there's any spice behind that rivalry, but I don't know the fan bases well enough. I've been to a Michigan game and I've been to a Michigan State game. They got great fan bases. I feel more of an atmosphere in Breslin, but I guess I've never really paid attention to how their fan bases interact in state rivalry. And I don't think this is the year to watch that rivalry because, Michigan State lost their big transfer this year. And I think they're going to struggle to be relevant this year, even under Izzo, while Michigan State's going to be competing for Big Ten and national championship.
I feel like this is my one and only point about this, and to kind of back up what I said earlier. I feel like that it's very evident that Coach May is approaching the throne of being the guy in Michigan. I do feel like Tom Izzo, we talked about this in a recent episode, talk about how you can never count out Tom Izzo in the tournament. Lethal, he gets his guys motivated, he makes it happen. Those guys still go to bat for that man, and I think they know that Coach May's on the rise. I kind of think there's gonna be some grit there, where they want to try to keep Izzo at the top as long as possible.
I hope so, because to me, it feels like Michigan is. They're still coming off their football championship high, playoffs, bowl game high. By the time, not like
trash
every time, because the football team's been so good for a very long time that where Michigan State's not quite had the football team, and so they're more centered on basketball. And by the time Michigan fans get ramped into basketball and ready to go for it, it's March Madness. So it's not, they just don't have the time to hate Michigan State because they're too busy celebrating football wins.
I think Dusty May, to your point, is has given them like the what are those like machines where you rub them together and you put them on your chest and you shock the shit out of somebody? What are those called? Defibrillators. Yeah, I think he came in and gave them the shock that they needed to be alive again. Because I'll tell you, Dusty May, Michigan basketball just pisses me off as a Purdue fan because now we have to deal with Michigan being resurgent. So,
and that's fair too.
I think Brad, that was a fantastic point. Is look, Izzo's on the twilight of his career, and when we're talking about passing the torch down to a new young coach, Painter's getting up there in years, right? We talked about him being 55. He's got 10 to 15 years left. Dusty May, how old is Dusty May right now? That's a Google. I would guess he's in his mid 40s.
48.
Yeah. Okay. So not much younger than Painter, but still he's got at least 20 years of coaching. And if he sticks with Michigan, there's probably a couple national titles in there. So as Izzo's kind of waning out, you got the state of Michigan getting taken over by a great program builder and a great coach, to Brad's point. Fantastic.
Yeah. Here's the kind of a fun rivalry here. The Holy War.
This is fun. I mean, this is probably, I think, the oldest rivalry in probably sports. Back to the 1890s. It is crazy. You've got the whole, the Holy War, the whole religion path, LDS versus just secular culture with BYU and Utah. You've had some really fun names come through there with Jimmer Fredette, Keith Van Horn, Sean Bradley.
Keith Van Horn. God. I love
now
that.
We got Danza.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you've got, it's this name. And
it's
134 to 130 for BYU. This is back and forth.
Wow. Yes. And I wanted to mention, Jake, and this is for Megan. It's BYU versus Utah is the Holy War. So those are the two teams.
Yeah, Rick Marjay, however you say his last name, Marjay, that versus Reed, that was incredible in the 80s and 90s. A lot of fun. Now that BYU's they're putting some attention back into basketball. I think this is, and Utah's, don't sleep on Utah now. They're a good little basketball team, and this will be fun to watch this year.
I think I'm with you on that. I think you said it best. They've invested in their basketball team. They've built a roster, bought a roster. I'm curious to see how it translates, but I think it adds a little spice to the Holy War. And that's one of the rivalries I look forward to every year. It's two programs that I don't care for until they play each other. I think BYU is going to be significantly more relevant because everybody's going to be watching what they do with that roster. Utah is going to be fun and like kind of scrappy. I don't think either one of them are competing for a national title this year, but when they play each other, that game's going on the TV.
Yeah. We ought to live stream
And
that game.
it's nice because it's out west,
Yeah.
so it's late. So like it's not competing with the team I'm watching for the most part.
Yep, very true. What about, do you have any like obscure rivalries that may be in a mid-major space that you want to highlight? I mean, there's plenty of them out there. It's actually been kind of fun to research because there's some that I didn't even know about, and some of the history behind it was kind of nuts. We don't have enough time to cover it in this episode, but there's some deep-rooted rivalries that kind of go unseen.
Look,
Go ahead.
When we're talking about mid-majors, like some honorable mentions: Kansas versus the World, great rivalry. Kentucky versus the World, great rivalry. Those are games where it's just like, ooh, somebody's got a shot to beat Kansas or Kentucky. I'm gonna tune in on that one. But when we're talking about mid-majors, I think the only one that's been really, really, really relevant from a basketball standpoint over the course of the last 10, 15 years is St. Mary's Gonzaga. And like we talked about them last time, is like St. Mary's is designed to give Gonzaga fits, and Gonzaga is designed, or like perpetually, to make the tournament and do a relatively decent run. I think their ceiling is now like a Sweet 16 as opposed to Final Four. But that is a game, every time those two teams play each other, I tune in. And it doesn't matter if St. Mary's is 2-10 or if Gonzaga is not even in the top 25. I'm still going to tune into that game because one of those teams are going to make the tournament eventually, because it's just like the way it always pans out when one of those teams wins the conference tournament, and then so on and so forth, right? So definitely a game that's worth watching, something to tune into. It's not as fun of a rivalry, but I think it's significant from a mid-major standpoint.
Yeah, it has the most national relevance. There's going to be 10 trillion rivalries we're not going to mention here for the mid-majors because there's 360 plus teams for basketball, and they all hate somebody. But whether that somebody hates them back, I don't know. I like a couple of my favorite from just kind of real small. I like VCU Richmond. You've got two schools in the same conference that have a home and home that are 6 miles apart. The record's not great because Richmond's kind of come on here lately, but like VCU leads the series 41-16, but got the whole public versus private conference game, same city, zero love. It's a lot of fun. And if you like watching mid-major basketball, this is typically a very good one to watch because these teams are on the top end of your mid-major scale for the most part. And then, I mean, you even had VCU make a Final Four run in what should be in most people's memory with Shaka Smart. And I think Richmond even won a couple tourney games, like kind of upset some teams. So you got good basketball going on there. And then this one just kind of makes me giggle a little bit because it's relatively new with Albany and Siena. I just love everything about the Albany Cup here. Siena leads the series 11-9, so we're real tight. It's very new, but this is so local. Like Albany, who has been in D1 a handful of years now, has only got to host the game once so far of the 20 matchups because their arena is too small, which is crazy for the size of these schools and the amount of fans that just don't go to these games. The fact that you've got an arena that is too small is wild to me, but coaches going back and forth on it on Twitter, like it's a lot of fun. It's bragging rights. Like, I don't know that this game means anything nationally ever. It might determine who gets a 1 seed in their conference tournament, but you're looking at like a 15 or 16 seed. So, but it's still just fun to see coaches going at it about who gets to host a game because of the arena size, and like to watch a rivalry just get birthed is incredible.
You know what Albany needs to do is say they have the 4th best arena in the country.
Hey,
take a page right out of South Alabama's book and be like, hey guys, pay attention to us. We only seat 168 people, but it's the 4th best venue in college basketball.
They're all lazy boy recliners.
Yeah. Watch a game in comfort. Just buy popcorn.
Buy plenty of popcorn. That's the true measure of a successful coach, is the amount of popcorn. To some people, I have to give a shout out to the Austin Peay versus Murray State. That's a big rivalry, and I think it's taken a bit of a hit since conference changes and things like that. When I was in school, I went to Austin Peay. And it was always everybody showed up for that game. We always, our fans got in trouble every single time. We always got emails from the athletic director and the president. I mean, there was always like a PSA before every game. And we traveled well up there, and it was just cool too because Murray had this kind of little bit like a nicer arena, a little bit more elevated. They're always kind of like a facility up from Austin Peay. But I mean, we had some big games. I remember Isaiah Cannon, he beat us at the buzzer when we were playing up there, and man, those were some great games. But yeah, that's what I got to call out. So yeah, Muck Furry, as we like to say. So that's when I had to. I didn't give a lot of love to Austin Peay. I don't even know if I mentioned Austin Peay, and I wore an Austin Peay shirt during our mid-major conversation, so I had to give a shout out. So let's go Peay.
Look, some other fun ones to mention. You got Tennessee and Kentucky, which is relatively recent because before that it's been a lot of Kentucky.
Do you have that record, by the way?
162 to 78 bad guys. So
well, that's not
I don't have that pulled up.
God, I would love.
I mean, Barnes has done very well. Did very well against Cal. Was bad last year, 1-2. So
yeah,
we won the one that mattered. So haha, we got the privilege of getting our doors blown off by Houston, but we did beat you in the Sweet 16.
That should be a conversation for a future episode. I want to see if anybody cares about it. Conference tournaments in the Power Five. Do we care about them? We were talking about these rivalries. Like,
if you are your top tier ones, then you've got it locked in.
If you're in the top tier, I think that's something we need to kind of like maybe unwrap a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to chew in on that. Because I like that.
When Tennessee loses to Kentucky in the SEC tournament, do we want to count that as because at that point, if you know who you are and you know where your seed line is, do you care anymore? So when we're looking at these records, I want to see an asterisk by any conference tournament. If it's a conference championship game, you made the dance, you might as well play for it, right? But if
finals,
it's quarterfinals, and you got Zakai Ziegler playing 40 minutes, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A few other ones
we didn't get a choice. We did have a choice.
A few other ones we didn't mention that I'm a big fan of. Iowa State. I love the fact that they have the whole Cyhawk challenge that goes over all the sports.
Yes.
I think that's incredible.
You said that earlier. That's right. I completely forgotten about
Alabama
that.
and Auburn is kind of fun, but it's mainly here recently.
Years.
I think that's more football.
Two loudmouth coaches.
And then I kind of want to get y'all's opinion on this. Arizona and UCLA. It feels like they should be, but they're too nice to each other, and so it makes me not care.
So I'm gonna comment on a couple of these. Iowa State, Iowa. There has been a dream talk about having an outdoor game between Iowa and Iowa State and the Field of Dreams.
That would be amazing.
Would that be the coolest freaking thing in the world?
Wait, a basketball game?
Yeah, they were talking as they were drawn up dream scenarios. So I think it was Kansas State at the Arches, which would be fantastic.
I legit have chills, the hairs raising on my arms. I've never thought about that even being a possibility. That would be
Army Navy on the White House lawn. Iowa State outdoors Field of Dreams. If they build it, I'm gonna try to PG this. I will go.
Well, you don't take that game. You are 2-3 dependent, and we saw what happened on the Carrier games, and there's nothing out there to block any wins.
If it's 26-27, I'm finding as many Zackies as I can possibly find.
I was about to say, live off the backboard, man.
But we're talking about some of these rivalries. Well, Iowa State is absolutely fantastic rivalry because they play each other all the time. It's fantastic. It'd be cooler if Iowa State was in the Big Ten or Iowa was out of the Big Ten and they were in the same conference. I think Iowa was kind of a staple in the Big Ten. So I'd like to see Iowa State move maybe. But it would add some drama to the already loaded conference. It's a fantastic rivalry. And both teams are fixing to be relevant. Iowa State's been more relevant here recently, and Iowa's had some good years with Garza and all that.
Right now, though.
Yeah, I think
Fran
being out and
he ran out.
Yeah, and new era. The Sturts year this year with Iowa, and then Iowa State's always relevant, especially in the last 10 years. I think that's going to be a fun.
Do they hate each other? Iowa State? Is that something if you pass somebody, you're an Iowa fan and you see a Cyclone shirt, do you make a remark?
I understand.
So I'm going to tell you right now, Iowa fans hate everybody. Iowa fans hate everybody, especially Iowa State fans.
Why? Why are they so?
They're in Iowa. I'm in Indiana. Tilt us over on our side. Guess where we are? We're Iowa.
I've been to Des Moines. I've been to Drake. I mean, and it was a beautiful area.
Yeah.
I did, but that's about it. I don't know if there's really much else.
Iowa State is constantly being little brothered throughout that whole state, and not even just from the fan base. Like you can argue that the basketball team has been more consistent here recently. The football team, probably baseball. I don't know. I never hear of Iowa State in baseball. I don't even know if they play it. But they just keep getting forgotten, and everybody just talks about Iowa. So like I think you've got a permanent chip on your shoulder if you're from Ames and an Iowa State fan.
Yep. And I hate to say it though, like I respect Iowa and their basketball program. I'm saying I don't, but when I think of Iowa, I think of tight ends and offensive linemen. Hunters.
I think of the Big Ten championship game a couple years ago between Iowa and Michigan. That was the most depressing thing I've ever had to sit through in my entire life. That was awful.
Grueling.
That point guard, the little white point guard they had forever. And
yes,
something like that.
He was.
Yeah.
That dude. I felt like he was there for forever.
Guards that never leave.
Look, I will say this about Iowa: for their white point guards, and they have the whitest names. Sanford, Bohannon, and nobody, and you read those names and be like, oh yeah, he's going to be an accountant or an insurance salesman.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy's got a future of short sleeve button ups.
That's exactly right. So I brought up the stat here just to go back real quick. We want to take a stab, but this is maybe more for Jake than the same. Give it a spin. There's been 25 games played between 2015 and 2025 between Tennessee and Kentucky basketball. 25 games. What do you think? What's that split?
12 UT?
14-11.
Sam, you looked that up.
Nope. 14-11.
Freaking nailed that.
I was going 12-13 and letting Kentucky have a couple more.
Yeah, it is. It's 11 wins for Tennessee and 14 for Kentucky.
Nah, that was shooting from the hip, and I think it was because last year I remember watching a game and they were talking about how even the series was, and then Jake mentioned they took 2 last year, and I was like, okay, that would probably stretch it out to 3.
No, yeah, you nailed it. Any other rivalries, or have we? I
like Marquette, Wisconsin. That's a fun one to me.
So yeah, Marquette, Wisconsin's fun. Kansas State.
It feels like Kansas State just pays them. Kansas pays them back for what Kansas State does to them in football. So it's just a tit for tat. Like the Marquette, Wisconsin, when I was Googling it, this is wild to me. They played 131 games. The difference is 34 points between the two. It's 71-60 Wisconsin, but it's a 34-point total.
That's incredible. Tight. That's set your DVR because I'm more interested in that rivalry. I didn't realize
that is wild. That's a fun stat right there. I like that.
I've seen this rivalry on like several lists. What about USC, UCLA? Is that a rivalry? Like since they're in the Big Ten now,
I feel like it's more football though.
In basketball, like they had it in basketball. Like to me, like it was just an inconvenient road trip. But I guess it's a rivalry. What do you guys think? Do we think it's a rivalry? Fans, tell us we're wrong.
Yeah, call in.
I have not paid enough attention to US. Like USC has not been relevant enough for me to go out of my way to watch. Because if I was watching late night, I was watching Oregon, BYU, Arizona, those teams versus trying to find USC. So I don't know how successful they've been. I know they were all over the TV a couple years ago with Bronny James all the time. So that made me hate them even more.
Yeah. And UCLA. Like, you got to watch them be coached by a guy who does not want to be in California.
No.
Napoleon.
Little dude.
So, I think that's I'm cashed out for rivalries. Yeah. Like I said, Kansas versus the world, Kentucky versus the world, and then I like our honorable mentions here.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, hey, if we missed one, make a comment. We can address it next week or next episode, because I think if we missed one, I'm all about hearing it.
I'm always in for watching more basketball hatred. I love it.
You mean we get to watch more college basketball? Sign me up.
Amen. That's right. Well, it's about time to no longer watch it. We got to go in there and step in for the starting 5 and give them a breather. So they got to get ready for the next game.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a rivalry, and it's 99-1.
That's first winning.
Here we come.
And if you made it this far, you're already part of the bench mob. So hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more chaos. BenchPoints is on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you pretend to know ball.